So now that 2018 is over, it is time for me to rank my top 10 movies of the year. So I have to start by saying that I have not seen everything. This should be obvious. I really only just started this channel a couple months ago. So I have not seen a lot of the stuff that is, not as well known, kind of more Oscar type stuff. I haven't seen just because I didn't get around to it or not super interested in it or a combination of both. So keep in mind there's a lot of stuff that I did not see before I get started on this list. With that said, here we go. I'm actually going to start us off with a couple honorable mentions. They're both comedies. The first one is Instant Family, which was a very funny movie, but it was also very heartwarming about a family that adopts some kids and they have a hard time with it, and it's about kind of adjusting to their situation. And the other one is Tag, which is an absolute blast. I was laughing the whole time. I was having fun the entire time. And these characters are charismatic. They're fun to follow their lives, and there is a surprising amount of heart to this movie as well. So kicking off the top 10 is going to be Bumblebee. Now, Bumblebee surprised a lot of people, including me, with how good it was. I really like this movie because they finally made a Transformer a character with actual character traits. And this movie has a lot of emotion, and the relationship between Haley Steinfeld's character Charlie and Bumblebee is just fantastic. It has kind of an E.T. or Iron Giant vibe to it, and I just really enjoyed their interactions and Bumblebee kind of adjusting to Earth, which is way different than his home planet, and I also really enjoyed the few scenes that they did have on Cybertron. That's the kind of thing I've been wanting for so long. This is the Transformers movie that we've all been waiting for. It works because it's not just a bunch of boom, boom, explosion, explosion, action, punch, punch, all over the screen. They have no reason to pay attention to what's going on. This movie gives you a reason to care and gives you a reason to pay attention. Coming in at number 9 is Creed 2. Creed 2 is an absolute blast. This movie is a perfect mixture of the old and the new. It's got a lot of aspects of pretty much every other Rocky movie leading into it, and it also takes our new characters in different directions. This movie has a ton of emotion. It's pretty fast-paced, and the fight sequences are good. And this movie was directed quite well by new director Stephen Caple Jr., and they gave a lot of attention and a lot of emotion to the Dragos, to Ivan Drago and his son Victor Drago. I am shocked how much depth they gave these characters as opposed to the caricature that Ivan Drago was in Rocky 4. So giving depth to villains adds so much more to the movie, and they did a really good job with that. It is a little bit predictable and follows some very similar plot lines, so we usually know where it's going at most times, but it's still a really fun, emotional ride. So coming in at number 8, I got Searching. Now this movie, it took me a really long time to see. I actually didn't get around to seeing it until the other day, but once I found out what it was, I'm like, I'm very interested in this. Searching is a thriller about a girl that gets lost and her father's quest to find her and all the different things that come up and all the potential clues, and it might go one way and then it actually is going another way. I found this very intriguing and very intense, very thrilling, and it was filmed in a very unique style. I just ultimately found the final reveal to be a bit underwhelming, but I don't know how they could have really done that to pull it off. Movies like this are really hard to stick the landing, so it's hard to fault them too much for that. So coming in at number 7 is going to be Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Now I've talked about this movie several times already, and this movie is an absolute blast. I feel like I've said that a lot, but it's true here. This movie is filmed in a very unique, the animation is very unique. It's a completely different style than we've ever seen before. But this movie is really about the characters, the Spider People, and especially Miles Morales and his relationship with Peter Parker. And they work really well because the voice actors do a really good job, and these characters are really well written, and you're just really just engaged in everything that's going on screen. And this movie also has an amazing soundtrack. It has some good humor, and the humor is very well timed. Some awesome action sequences, and some good emotional beats as well. So I really enjoyed Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That's my number 7. So coming in number 6 is going to be Black Panther. Now this I've also talked about recently. This movie is a superhero movie, but it's also more. It takes some very real issues and has some really good themes and messages in here that people should really take away from it. But it doesn't forget about its comic book roots either. It keeps the comic book roots and it mixes that perfectly with the really real life stuff. And there's a ton of emotion in this movie, and the characters are great. Michael B. Jordan playing Eric Killmonger is one of the very best villains in the MCU. And even though the CGI fights are, the big spectacle CGI fights are a bit off, they're not great, and they're very noticeable, the hand-to-hand fights are perfect, and you can tell that that's because Ryan Coogler directed it. Now, cracking the top 5 is a movie that very few people are actually talking about at all, and that kind of disappoints me because I really like this movie, and that's Bad Times at the El Royale. This movie is a fun, intense thriller where you don't really know where it's going at any time. You don't really know what's actually happening, and you really need to pay attention to everything that's going on. It does a good job getting you engaged with the story, and the performances, everyone is great here. Jeff Bridges, as great of a career as he's had, this is one of his best performances ever. Dakota Johnson, a lot of people have given her shit. She proves that she can actually act in this movie. The main character, Darlene, played by Cynthia Erivo, I really hope I said that right, I'm not sure, but she was great. I'd never heard of her going into this. She was perfect. But the real standout here is Chris Hemsworth. Holy shit. As much as I love him as Thor, this might be the best performance of his career, and I just wish we would have gotten a little bit more of him. So at number 4, I got A Quiet Place. Damn, this movie shocked me. Because watching the trailer, I was kind of like, I don't know what to think of this. A movie without any dialogue? How is this going to work? Because I really value character interactions in movies. And they managed to pull that off without any dialogue. This movie is scary. It's intense. You're always on the lookout for what's going to happen next and what's around every corner. But it's also about family and family dynamics and family values. And they portray that really well here. Especially the directing of John Krasinski and his acting as well as Emily Blunt, and the kids were great as well. And this movie establishes right away that anything can happen. The stakes are there. This is serious shit going on. The only thing is that I wish it was a little bit longer, but I really liked A Quiet Place. That's my number 4. So at number 3, I got Mission Impossible Fallout. How do they keep doing this? How does Tom Cruise keep doing this? The guy's like in his mid-50s, and he just keeps pulling off these awesome stunts and these awesome action movies. This might be the best Mission Impossible movie, period. The action is amazing. The stunts are ridiculous. The directing by Christopher McQuarrie is perfect. I mean, he's very good at action movies and action spectacle, and very good at keeping people engaged at what's going on the screen. It's intense, but it's easy to follow what's going on. And I like how they also did not go away from the spy thriller aspects of the original Mission Impossible. They kept those really within the movie while also having those really good action moments. And the twists, there's several of them, and they work pretty well for the most part. So my number 2 is a movie that I also just watched the other day because I didn't even know what it was for the longest time, and I finally got around to watching it, and that is Upgrade. Holy shit, where has this movie been? And why did it take me so long to watch it? This movie is a sci-fi, action, revenge thriller that is right up my alley as it is. The action is amazing, and it's filmed in a really unique way, even though this overall premise isn't new. It's something we've seen before. It's still really engaging because of how different the filming style is and how cool the action scenes are. But what really makes this movie for me is the end twist. Wow. This movie it becomes something completely different with that twist. I don't even know. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but as if a sci-fi revenge thriller wasn't already enough, because for me it is. That's exactly the type of thing I want to see. But this ending made it something even more, and it makes you think about the whole thing completely differently, and it really stays with you. So Upgrade is my number 2. So my number 1 movie of 2018, you probably know what it is. I'm wearing the shirt right now. It is Avengers Infinity War. I don't even know where to start here. I already went into a decent amount of detail with my comic book ranking. I just fucking love this movie. I can't believe how well the Russo brothers pulled it off, putting all these characters together, their different personalities and tones, and meshed them so well on screen, and it works. This is a culmination of 18 MCU movies heading into it, and it's the payoff to that, because we are so invested in these characters and what's going on with them, and the ending just will absolutely break people. It broke me. It's a crazy, ballsy, sad, depressing ending. And even though we know things could change going into Endgame, it's about the journey, and it's about the character reactions to it, and it's about the consequences to maybe changing things. So I don't put it down at all for that. And this movie, it has a lot of humor, especially towards the beginning. It really manages to lighten the tone a little bit to kind of give us a little levity before the crazy stuff that's going to happen. This movie has a ton of emotion. Thanos is the best villain in the MCU and one of the best villains of all time, because he is the hero of his own story. You understand why he's doing what he's doing, even though you don't agree with it. And he's performed brilliantly by Josh Brolin. I don't even know what else to say about Thanos. He's basically the perfect villain because he's intimidating, he's evil, but he's also relatable and kind of a broken man. Something happened to him in the past, and now he doesn't want that to be repeated, so it feels like he's doing everyone else a favor. So you feel for him, even though you know that he can't succeed in what he's doing, because that would be devastating. So in Avengers Infinity War definitely makes my number 1 for the best movies of 2018. So guys, thank you for following me for the last couple months. I'm really just getting this thing started. Got a lot more coming. I still have to do my top anticipated movies for 2019. That'll be it for my end of the year list. Then I'm doing Unbreakable and Split before Glass comes out. And I'm doing every single MCU movie, all 20 of them. Well, I guess it'll be 21 eventually, because Captain Marvel will come out before Endgame. Reviewing all of them. So it's going to be fun. Like this video, subscribe to get along for the ride, and hit that notification bell so you get notified when I post a video. See you next time.